Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Wednesday, the 10th of June, 2026. You are watching Morning Brew on Hughes the World. I'm Graham Hughes. This is the world. Hello. It's on fire. It's on literal fire. There's a fire raging in the background there. Quite, it's quite apt, isn't it, to start the show. Big shout out to L and SG and Martin in the chat. We've got Diz in the chat as well. We've also got, who else? I think that's it. Hello, everyone. Hello, if you want to say hello. Person Impersonator is there. Hello, Person Impersonator. Hope you're feeling groovy this morning. If you want to join our friendly friends in the friendly chat, all you need to do is press the friendly subscribe button and wait for approximately 1 minute, and you'll be granted access. But just don't be a troll, because we come down on trolls here like a ton of bricks. Morning, Greg. Morning, Sarah. It's morning. So today, obviously, we're going to be talking about what happened in Belfast overnight. There was a knife attack on Monday in North Belfast. A man in his 40s was injured with serious injuries, and a video circulated on social media showing the attack, and one bystander is identified as Matthew Mag Tigharan, who was actually seen hurling a stick against the attacker. Police recovered a kitchen knife at the scene, and the suspect was a 30-year-old Sudanese man. Northern Ireland is 97% white, I think, something ridiculous like that. It's not particularly a multicultural society, this fellow was charged with attempted murder, possession of a bladed article in public, and threats to kill. Police have no evidence, that this was terrorist related. Chief Constable John Butcher stated that the suspect was not known to security services. Police say he travelled from Sudan to Paris. He then flew from Paris to Dublin, travelled by bus from Dublin to Belfast in February 2023, claimed asylum after arrival, and he was granted leave to remain until 2026. So this is all of Nigel Farage's Christmas has come true. A British citizen has been stabbed by a white person, has been stabbed by a black person, and the black person is an asylum seeker. So obviously Tommy Robinson and Farage and Tice and Zia Yusuf have been activated. You know, it's like the bat signal in the sky, or the call for Thunderbirds to go, Thunder Nazis a go. And then violence, as it's been shown on the pictures behind me, erupted. Footage of the attack spread rapidly online. Tommy Robinson, Stephen Laxley Lennon, as his mum calls him, shared the video. Robinson called for promoted locations for protests. Elon Musk amplified calls for protest on his X platform, and Musk posted, "Only by protesting repeatedly, full caps, and loudly, full caps, will there be any change." Restore Britain account posted, "Do not make peace with evil, destroy it." Rupert Lowe also posted after the attack. Reform UK Home Affairs spokesperson Zia Yusuf immediately blamed immigration policy, and Yusuf called for a total ban on people from Sudan. I'd just like to remind everyone watching that last week a white kid went down for the murder of a lad from Saudi Arabia, a crime in which his father tried to help him out by laundering his clothes and cleaning the murder weapon. And he was sentenced to life with a minimum of over, I think it was 20 years or 22 years in prison, right? No riots. No Saudis running onto the streets and burning cars. In East Belfast, North Townards Road has become one of the main flashpoints. I might not be pronouncing that correctly, sorry. Protesters hijacked a glider bus, which they burnt out. The bus was set on fire. Public transport services suspended. Several homes attacked. Multiple vehicles were burned. Graffitis reading "Fuck Islam" appeared near the scene. Witnesses reported masked men posing for photographs beside burning properties. Ironically enough, one of the people commenting on this said, "We don't want people from Somalia and Sudan here because they come from very violent societies." And I'm like, you literally come from Belfast. What are you talking about? Anyway, Francis, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. I'm sick of this right-wing crap. We are being forced down our throat daily. Yeah, so am I, Francis. So am I. And yeah, thank you very much for the super chat, which reminds me I should set a super chat goal, shouldn't I? But yeah, this is just grist to the mill for the likes of Farage, these and Zia Yusuf and Sarah Puchin, Richard Tice, Suella Braverman, that gobshite, what's his name? Robert Jenrick, Rupert Lowe, all of whom are privately educated. Every single one comes from a posh, rich family who could afford to send all their kids to school. You know, when you read about like a school being like 30 grand a year, and you go, "Oh, fucking hell, that's more than I earn." Now, how can they pay that out? Don't forget, they don't just have one kid, these motherfuckers. Layla Cunningham, what her name is, who's running for London Mayor in 2028. She was one of 5. And she went to one of the most expensive schools in London. So I'm assuming that all 5 of them went to expensive schools. Think about how much money you needed to be able to do that. And then these are the people who claim to talk for the common man. And you get people on the TV going, I'm so working class. Oh my God, I am so working class. I went to a school reunion the other day, and there was one person there who didn't have their own, luxury villa in the Algarve. And I just looked at them and I thought, oh my God, I'm really slamming it with the plebs here. I mean, and then it turned out they did have one, but they only had one. Everyone else has got several. Meanwhile, in North Belfast, violence concentrated around the Crumlin Road area, nearby streets, and homes belonging to ethnic minority families were attacked. Windows were smashed, doors kicked in, families forced to flee. Pastor Jack McKee reported that people were being targeted specifically because they were black, and Claire Hanna described the events as a race-based program. She's the SDLP leader in Northern Ireland. A race-based program. In Shankill, on Shankill Road, 2 phone shops were looted. African-owned businesses were set on fire. Rioters claimed they were liberating properties, with fire. Witnesses reported hearing the words "foreigners out." There were 62 separate incidents last night, according to Northern Ireland Fire and Rescue Services. The fire service received over 250 calls between 7 p.m. and midnight. There was a police helicopter deployed over Belfast. There was disorder also reported in Ballymena, Bangor, Antrim, Newton Abbey, Portadown, Ballyclare, and there was a Turkish barbershop attacked in Ballyclare. A police vehicle was set on fire in Portadown. Multiple cars torched in Newton Abbey. And the Sudanese owned shops on Sandy Row shut early. Steel shutters were pulled down by the afternoon. Staff were told to leave work and stay home. Belfast Islamic Centre cancelled evening prayers. Community leaders were advised not to leave their homes. Mohammed Mahmoud, a Sudanese grocery worker, was interviewed, said no one knows what's going to happen. Ali Aden, a Sudanese shopkeeper, has lived in Northern Ireland for 18 years, said race relations had deteriorated since 2018. One family of 4 had to be evacuated from a burning house. A family with 4 children had to be evacuated from a burning house that had been set on fire by violent racists. Independent councillor Paul Doherty described children as being traumatised. BBC reporter Kelly Bonner has reported hundreds of masked men carrying bottles, bricks, masonry, doors kicked in, windows smashed, homes searched for immigrants. One witness reported rioters stopped attacking a car after being told it was a locals. Men reportedly went door to door asking where foreigners lived. Some houses were attacked purely because immigrant occupants believed to be immigrants. One girl shouted, "There's 3 wee girls inside," and family homes were still being attacked. So the political response to this, I mean, this is exactly what you'd expect. Michelle O'Neill, the First Minister of Northern Ireland, called the violence disgusting cowardice and outright thuggery, condemned masked men burning families out of their homes. The Deputy First Minister, Emma Lee Pengali, said innocent people were being punished for crimes they did not commit. The Justice Minister, Naomi Long, accused far-right online activists of deliberately inflaming tensions. Very telling that the likes of Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson and Elon Musk weren't there. Hilary Benn, the Northern Ireland Secretary, said there was no justification at all. Sinn Féin MP John Finucane said he described the scenes as shameful. And Claire Hanna, who I mentioned earlier, the SDLP leader, said many dozens of people now have no bed to sleep in. And John Burrows, who is the Ulster Unionist Party leader, obviously what was on the claimed to be on both sides, but you know what side he was on. He said that many involved appeared to be under 16 years old, and he described children believing it was their patriotic duty to burn buses and attack immigrant homes. So Belfast had similar unrest in August 2024 after the Southport murders. Migrant-owned businesses were attacked during those disturbances. Vigilante groups reportedly patrolled some areas afterwards. Community members were challenged to prove their immigration status. Sudanese businesses remain particularly vulnerable because of memories of those attacks. And when you hear people like Zia Yusuf saying we've got to ban everyone coming over from Sudan, it's like, has he looked at himself in the mirror? Does he really think that these racist thugs who will do anything they can get away with, they will burn cars, they will burn houses with children, they will burn hotels with children in, will stop at him and go, oh no, he's one of the good ones. He's with us. Like I said earlier, 97% of Northern Ireland population identify as white. Belfast remains over 90% white. And the significant migration only began really after EU expansion in 2004. Up to that point, I mean, Belfast was, there was Catholics and Protestants, but they were all white. There's, the largest migrant groups came from Poland, Lithuania. But recent migration, the post-Brexit, Farage wave, has come from India and African countries. And immigration policy is controlled by Westminster, not by Stormont. And the way that the right have jumped on this, and they're going to do this. You people watching this will know every time something fucking horrible happens, the first thought is, please don't let it be someone from my minority. Please don't let it be someone from my minority who has done this. But the collective punishment of groups of people, which is made easier by racism, by the fact that we do segregate people into black, white, Indian, Native American. We have separate ethnic groups for people. We talk about different races. There's no other race other than the human race. What you're talking about is ethnicities. You're talking about different colours of skin. That is it. And it's not even that as well. You'll see some white people who look browner than some black people. So it's not even that. It's this a racist structure that we form our society upon that allows these absolute gobshites to get away with it, to get away with pointing at people and saying they are part of the same minority. Let's take them all out. And the violence in Belfast yesterday was absolutely horrific. But it all simmered down later in the evening. Do you know why? Not because the government placated the racists and said, "Oh yeah, okay, we'll get rid of all the black people." Not because the racists ran out of houses to burn. No, because it started to rain. It started to rain. That's how people went. I know say this. The one thing that stops Britain from kicking off whenever you say it's a tinderbox, it's a tinderbox. It's generally the weather. If it's cold and wet outside, people aren't going to riot because when you get cold and wet, they want to take part in some violence because it's easier to burn things, it's easier to destroy things than to create things, than to make good things, and they know that. They absolutely know that, and it's really disgraceful. That these people who take the path of least resistance and go out and do this stuff are terrorizing communities. And it's not just the communities that they're seeking to terrorize that are being terrorized, because these people live in the people that they're going after. They live in communities where there's people from all walks of life and different ethnicities. So you're scaring the shit out of white kids as well as the black kids. This is what they do. And they don't care. We saw this in the Southport riots 2 years ago, where you had a group of men shipped in, bussed in by the likes of Farage and Tate and Tice and Elon Musk. They're at their behest. Go and riot, they said. Go and riot. Go and cause some fucking trouble. And so people turned up in Southport, and while kids, little girls traumatized by what had just happened in the Southport dance class. They had 2 or 3 nights of further trauma where men screaming and shouting obscenities in the streets, setting things on fire, throwing bricks, crashes and bangs and oh my God, like if you've already suffering from fucking PTSD over what you just saw a couple of days earlier, and then these horrible, disgusting gammon-faced fuckwits turn up and start smashing stuff up on your street, how would you feel? And then we have Elon Musk, who's encouraging all this for his own racist, nefarious, South African, apartheid-loving fucking ends. I'm anti-organized religion, respect people's beliefs, but I don't consider excluding them from society. Same goes with football. Says L. Hi Graham. Hi all. It says Jimmy. Hi. Hello. On religion, L. I'm not against organized religion. I'm against organized religion being given a special place, like rules don't count for them. I'm against organized religions that segregate children into separate schools depending on what religion their parents are. I think that's disgusting. That's got to stop. I want to see the comprehensivization of schools. That's what I want to see in this country, and that means getting rid of the private schools, shutting them down entirely. I know what, and getting rid of the grammar schools and just having schools that all the kids go to, and bring the kids up, bring all the kids up, instead of what we do, which is we decide at the age of 10 or 11, based on how much money their parents have got, which school they can go to, and which religion, how much money and what religion their parents are, that decides what school they get into, which is fucking crazy. Those white kids are likely friends with black and brown ones. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Like I've never met a racist toddler. I've never met a homophobic toddler. I've never met a toddler who hates trans people or hates drag queens. I've never met a toddler who has a problem with Jewish people or Muslims. They just see a little friend and they go over and talk to their little friend so they can play together, because that's what kids do. Once you segregate children into the white schools, the Muslim schools, the Jewish schools, the Christian schools, well, the Catholic schools, the Protestant schools, the Mormon schools, the Seventh-day Advent Hoppist schools, once you start doing that, those kids will grow up not having any friends from any other walk of life. They won't have any friends who are Muslim. They won't have any friends who are Jewish. Why would they? They don't hang out with them. They're never going to, have a bestie from an ethnic minority. They're never gonna fall in love with someone from an ethnic minority. Not while they're kids anyway. Not while they're teenagers. And most people stick with the friends that they made in school for the rest of their lives. Which is you know, which is so fucking grim. Hi, Boss Graham. You should add your bit, like, and subscribe and hype. Yeah, you should definitely, Graham. Martin Harrow, those white kids. I've read that one. Right, Diz, looking for black players, can't find the States. High power. Got get F reschools, but there was a time in the past parts of Great Britain where Catholic people were discriminated against, and setting up of Roman Catholic schools needed to get a foot up. Yeah, but that time's not here anymore. And if you are going to have, there's really good Catholic schools in Liverpool now. And why are they really good? Well, because I know that they take some kids in from other religions and some other walks of life, but generally speaking, if you want to get your kid into the good school, they have to go to church. They have to go to the good Catholic school. They have to be a good Catholic. They have to go to church each week. And if you're a single mom with 3 kids, Sunday mornings, you are in no state to be taking them to church, for a 9 o'clock service. But yeah, I do believe that that there is space on this, on this island, in this world, for a plurality of religions and beliefs. That's fine, but I don't want them segregating our children into different groups based on their parents' beliefs. I think that's disgusting. I think that's abhorrent. And also, your religious rules are for you. This is something that people really need to, they struggle to understand, but this is what they need to understand. Their religious rules are for them, not for anyone else. And so I don't have to follow your religious rules, especially if, there's something that I don't want to do, or something that I don't want to not do. If I don't have to follow your rules when it comes to dietary requirements or drinking or not drinking. Isn't it funny? Like, some religions you've got to drink, like Judaism, Christianity, you've got to drink wine. It's part of the ceremony. It's part of the service. You've got to drink wine. And then other religions, you've got to not drink wine. You've got religions where you have to eat meat. It's a mitzvah. It's a rule. You've got to eat meat. Whereas other religions are like, well, no, you got to not eat meat. In some religions, when you go into a Christian church, for instance, you're supposed to take your hat off. It's a thing that you're supposed to do. If you're a man, if you're a woman, I don't think you have to, but because you see lots of women with very big hats at weddings. But you're supposed to take your hat off when you go into a church. In a synagogue, you're supposed to put a hat on. So, does God wear a hat? I don't know. Does God really give a fuck about hats and whether you wear a hat or you're wearing a hat indoors, Graham? What are you doing wearing a hat indoors? I don't think there is a God that give a fuck, to be honest with you. But there you go. You got religions that say, you shouldn't eat beef. The religions that, the American religion, whatever the hell that is, the United Church of America, they believe that you should eat burgers at breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. Agreed. I think religion should be a personal and private thing, says Graham Price. Yeah. But also, I don't think that people should be discriminated against because of their religion. But we need to find a balance here. I don't think people should be discriminated against because of their religion, but surely that extends to schools. So how can you discriminate against someone for being Catholic and not let them into a Church of England school? Are you going to put up a sign outside that says no Catholics, no Jews, no dogs? Like, what the fuck? It's 2026. Stop it. I know not that many senior schools or high schools or secondary schools do that now, but a lot of primary schools still do it. A lot of primary schools still segregate children at the age of 7 years old into whether they are Catholic or Protestants or Mormon or Jehovah's Witness or whatever. God wears a big hat and a false mustache. Why does she need that? Why does she need the mustache? Should Tommy 10 Days be charged with terrorism? Asks Sammy Jane. Yes, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. That man is responsible for stirring the pot. Elon Musk responsible for stirring the pot, using his platform of this happened because Nigel Farage, Zia Yusuf, Tommy 10 names, and particularly Elon Musk stirring the pot. Elon Musk tweets about the UK more than he does about his own companies that he owns. As I have beliefs, I don't talk about it. I don't want it turned to religion. I definitely don't want to believe in a man on a cloud who comes off worse than the devil. He does, if you read the Bible, I'm sorry to say. But here's the thing as well, right? There's a difference between respecting that other people have beliefs and then thinking that you can't challenge those beliefs. Those beliefs are sacrosanct and cannot be challenged in any way, shape, or form. They're two very different things. And a lot of Christians in particular get very antsy when you go, but hang on. But hang on. I didn't find out my dad was into God until someone mentioned it as his funeral, says John. Wow. Well, I don't think my mum found out that her grandmother was a Catholic until her funeral. There's a bit of there's a family dynamic for you. I think that's right. My mum, if you're watching this, feel free to set me straight on that one if that's the case, or not the case, as the case may be. I do believe when Sammy Jane says, should Tommy 10 names be charged with terrorism? Absolutely. And one of the things that Refuck and the right wing are doing, and the Christian nationalists idea that they're going to say, oh, Britain is a Christian nation, it's a Christian nation, but the reality is it's not. I know like the head of the church is Charles III, but the reality is, I mean, just come on, like we only have a Church of England because the King of England back in the 1500s wanted to marry his six-fingered fuck buddy. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's it. He just wanted to annul his marriage. So, and the way he went about it is he said to the Pope, listen, I want to annul my marriage to Catherine of Aragon. The Pope's like, what the fuck? You can't do that. And he's like, no, I really want you to annul it because she was supposed to be betrothed to my brother. Stephen, was it? His older brother? You're supposed to be, and she was supposed to marry him, but he fucking carked it, didn't he? Do you know that Henry VIII was originally supposed to go into the priesthood? He wasn't originally supposed to be the king. It's just because his older brother died. And because she was betrothed to him, then that means that I shouldn't have married her or something, whatever. There's a whole thing in the Bible about marrying your brother's widow and taking care of her, which is a bit problematic to say the least. But the Pope said no. The Pope and up to that point, the Pope and Henry VIII got on very, very well. He was given an award. He was given a gong. You know, like Henry, like Trump got given a peace prize by FIFA. Well, ironically enough, Henry VIII, before he broke from the Catholic Church, was given an award from the Pope. He was given a gong by the Pope, and he was made Defender of the Faith. Defender of the Faith. You know, they had this big fete of the Gladden Fields, didn't they? The Gladden Fields, big promotion of Catholicism, big hurrah for the Catholic Church. And then the Pope said, no, we're not going to annul your marriage. And don't forget as well, people go divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived, right? For Henry VIII, 6 wives. No, it's wrong. Annulled. Those 2 marriages that he got divorced, he actually got those marriages annulled. The Pope didn't want to do it, so he broke away from the rest of the church and annulled it himself. He just said, right, that's it. I'm going to annul it myself. I'm going to declare this marriage to Catherine of Aragon null and indeed void. And it's like, okay, cool. That's a cool foundation for a religion, for a state religion. But it gets better because it wasn't just that. And obviously there were theological arguments about whether transubstantiation happens, which is when you take communion, you drink the communion wine, and the Protestants believed that the wine was just representative of the body, the blood of Jesus Christ, whereas the Catholics believed that it was actually it turned magically into blood in your mouth. It's a bit of a weird thing to do. I mean, it's a bit cannibalistic, isn't it? Eating your own God and drinking his blood. I mean, but the main reason that Henry VIII broke away from the Catholic Church was, first of all, so he could marry his mistress. But the other one, which is even more shocking if you think about it, he wanted to plunder the amassed might and money of the monasteries. He dissolved the monasteries, which were so part of English life back in the day. I mean, it was like getting rid of all the supermarkets and taking all, imagine the king today going, right, we're not going to have any more supermarkets. And everyone's like, well, where are we going to get our food from? Just buying from a local shop. But I'll leave the co-ops. They can remain. But Asda, Tesco, Sainsbury's, Waitrose, they're all getting shut down. They're all getting Morrison's. They're all getting shut down, and I'm going to take all of their money off them. And he made, like, Henry VIII made billions, possibly trillions in today's money from stealing all, shutting down these monasteries, burning them down, looting all the treasure, and then setting all the monks out to, I don't know, pasture. Ivan, thank you very much. This will not ruin my day. Thank you very much for £20. It's very kind of you. It's very generous. Thank you, Ivan. I have contributed to the House of Lords inquiry into the Autism Act. My evidence was published and is part of it features in their report. There is a debate in the House of Lords today on this. Well done, mate. Well done. This is specifically for Ivan. Yay! You get confetti, Ivan. So well done, mate. I'm really, really proud of you, mate. That is really, really good. And then another super chat. Oh, thanks, mate. You don't have to. You don't. So kind. The debate in the House of Lords on the Autism Act is this afternoon around 3:50 p.m. You can watch it on Parliament Live TV or BBC Parliament. Please do that, everyone. That is really cool. I'll be writing this afternoon, so what I'll do, Ivan, is I'll try and remember to put it on the TV behind me while I'm doing my writing. Can we shut down all the co-ops? Co-op is shite, far too expensive. Co-op is great if you go in not needing anything. You go in and you're like, ooh, cookies for 50p. That'll do me. I'll have that. But yeah, thanks again, Ivan, says Diz. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the basis of the Church of England is cuckoo banana pants, and then you have the issue that the leader of the House, the Church of England is a divorcee. How crazy is that? He's a divorcee. And like I say, Henry VIII didn't get his marriages. He didn't get divorced. He got his marriages annulled, right? And up till this point, there hasn't been a single divorcee who sat on the throne. In fact, Edward VIII, who was a Nazi, so he needs to get rid of him. The excuse for getting rid of him wasn't that he was a Nazi, we needed to get rid of him, was that he wanted to marry Wallace Simpson, an American, who was a divorcee. So it wasn't in a case of him being a divorcee himself. It was a case of the woman he was in love with, his fellow Nazi, being a divorcee, and that was it. When my parents got married, they had a blessing in the church, but they weren't allowed to be married in the church because it was up to the individual in charge of priest or vicar or whatever in charge of the church whether they would allow divorcees to get married in their church, right? And they said that the guy said no, so they had a blessing which looked like a wedding to anyone else, but they actually had to get married at a registry office because my dad was a divorcee. At that point, Lara, I hope my criticism wasn't too harsh. What criticism? I didn't see that. I'm going to start my own religion with blackjack and hookers, says Califrame Man. Is that a quote from Futurama? That sounds like something. That sounds like something that Bender would say. Co-op must stay, says Ivan. Yeah, I agree. I like the co-op. I love my co-op, says Bad Fairy. I disagree. The co-op puts money back into the community, at least down here. I don't find them as expensive as the local Premier, which doesn't put money back to us. Yeah, and also, if you go to a Tesco Metro, they're dead expensive. They're dead expensive. So yeah, I know that Sainsbury's local, they're dead expensive. They charge double for everything. The Cookie Monster is a liar. He doesn't eat them. Not one. He's a fraud. Please spread the word. Shouldn't lie to kids like that. One thing is true. He's a monster. Yeah, no, but he doesn't have to eat them, Elle. Come on. Elle, come on. Let's talk sensibly here, right? He is a cookie monster. What would a monster do to cookies, right? He would rip them apart with his jowls, with his mouth. Wouldn't he? He'd just break them in his mouth and then spit them everywhere. The thing isn't about the eating with the Cookie Monster. The thing is about the destruction of cookies. As far as he is concerned, the cookies must die and the crumbs must be spread over a large area for someone else to have to hoover up. He is, he's a monster. The clue is in the name. He's like Oscar the Grouch. What does he do? He's a grouch. Why is he grouchy? He lives in a bin. Wouldn't you be grouchy if you lived in a bin? Yeah, I think you would. I'm just saying. He is a monster. He's an absolute monster. People forget convenience has a price sometimes. Yes. Well, people forgive anything for convenience, won't they? Go see Amazon for that. So yeah, this is going back to what happened in Belfast. It's a really grim story, but there is a knife attack every other day in the UK. We have a lot of knife attacks, and most of the time it's a white kid stabbing another white kid, and nothing comes of it. Or it might be a white kid stabbing someone who's not white, and nothing comes of it. It's whenever it's a black kid or a brown kid stabbing someone who is white, then that's what happens. You can see it there over my shoulder. I pity the cookie monster. One angry pagan. I pity the fool. I pity the one angry pagan. Sorry, I pity the cookie monster. Poor bastard isn't able to eat the cookies he loves. No, but he doesn't love the cookies. He wants to destroy them. All cookies must die. He's stopping anyone else from eating the cookies. That's what he's doing. The cookie monster has someone else's hand up his backside. No wonder he's a monster. Well, you might enjoy that. You never know. Each to their own, my friend. Each to their own. They wanted to get rid of Henry VIII because he was a Nazi. No, I did say that, Diz, to be fair. You know that Nazi they wanted to get rid of. But the excuse was that he was a divorcee. And now we've got King Charles III, who is a divorcee. Got me passport back. I had to send off my passport to get my second passport. I've got 2 British passports now. One with the Queenie. That's the mark of the Queenie. That's the Queenie's coat of arms. It must have taken them a long time to draw. I don't know. But if I open this one, it does say, I can't show you it because it's got the number on it, so it'll give it away. But it does say on this, his Britannic Secretary of State requests and requires in the name of His Majesty. So in this one, it's got the Queen's crest, the Queen's mark, the Queen's copyright thing. But inside it says his. Whereas this one, that's Kingy's. See, it's different. The badges, the crests are different, aren't they? So that one's shaped like a pair of boobies, and that one's shaped like a cock. That's how you know. That's for the boy. That's for the girl. Gendered passports we have now. Gendered passports. God, don't tell refuck that. They'll kill you. We used to have a queen, and now she's a king. Hey, yeah. Jesus, don't let them use the toilet. Some fairy creatures would pay good money for that. Spherelance. Not just knives either. I got stabbed with an ice pick on my side when I was 17. Bloody hell, one angry pagan. That's awful. Luckily, it didn't hit anything vital, but it reaffirmed me well enough to defend myself. Bloody hell, mate. That is fucking grim. I'm sorry that happened to you. That's awful. Jimmy says, proud to say I don't shop online. Only things I bought online was Bollywood films. Yay! Bollywood films. Whoops, saying Nazis are bad has offended Nanny Chat. Hey, listen, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. I'm going to move my monitor back now, which has got me camera. Oh, Christ. He fell off the table. Whoopsies. Yeah, nearly fell off the bloody table, it did. So I realised that you can't see me camera. Me clock. Me clock. The queen being a king still seems weird. Yes, John. Yeah, we down with this sort of thing. Careful now. But yeah, we'll go over to the papers to find out what the papers have to say about this. Here we go. We've got the Daily Fail here, which fails because it's too big for the page. There we go. The Daily Mail. First, we've got Sudanese knife attack suspect got asylum after taking backdoor to UK. Refugee charged with medieval knife attack. Oh, God. Beheading suspect entered UK via asylum loophole. It's a really grim picture. Sorry, trigger warning. I didn't realise how grim this was going to be. Police plead for calm after knife attack as far-right push for protests across Britain. Violence erupts in Belfast after protests over stabbing attack. Shirty tricks. Okay. Refused entry, new US World Cup disgrace. Furious Somalian refugee humiliated at immigration. Shattered Omar said they don't like my country. The referee, the football world reacted with fury after a World Cup referee from Africa was banned from the US. Residents praised for taking on Belfast street attacker. Victims suffered serious injuries to eyes, neck and back. Asylum seekers given leave to remain, charged with attempted murder. There was a sickening Belfast knife attack. So I'm going to race through this because the picture's really quite. I know it's blurred out, but I still find it quite disturbing. So I don't want to upset anyone. There was a sketch that was done by Michael Spicer, you know, the guy who does The Room Next Door, and it was Nigel Farage listening to the radio, and it was him getting excited every time he heard that someone had been stabbed, until he realised that the person who got stabbed had a foreign sounding name, and then he was like, oh. But yeah, what I was going to mention about people being stabbed in the UK, the people aren't being shot in the UK. In America, 50,000 people a year, more than the number of people who get run over by cars or die in car accidents. 50,000 people that die a year from a gunshot injury. 50,000 in America. And we're worried in the UK, where we have a fraction of that. I mean, there's about 500 odd murders in England and Wales a year. In fact, I will find out for you how many murders. How many murders in UK 2025? Oh, I did say 500, did I not? I just looked it up online, and the actual number is 503. 503 murders in the UK. Twice that many number of people get killed every year in America by the police. By the police. How many people killed with guns? US. In the US, an average of 45,000 to 47,000 people are killed by guns in the United States every year. So when people in the UK are saying, "Oh my God, our streets are so dangerous. It's so dangerous. Don't go out on the streets because they're all so dangerous." This is, I guess there are dangerous people out there, but they are in the vanishing minority. And I'll tell you this now: a lot of the people of those murderers who murdered those 503 people, nearly all of them shared one characteristic. They were men. Cisgender men. A woman is murdered every 3 days in this country by her partner. Every 3 days. Every 3 days. And but the refuckers, they don't want to tackle violence against women and girls. They couldn't give a shit. They had a member of parliament, a refuck member of parliament who had gone to jail for stamping on his girlfriend while she was on the floor. We had a prime minister whose father, who became a bit of a TV celebrity. He was always on the BBC. And it turned out that he beat his wife so badly in the 1970s that she had to go to hospital. And he completely got away with it. And when this was brought up in Question Time, Fiona Bruce said, "Oh, it only happened once." Yeah, I only killed that person once. So was it really murder? I mean, I only killed one person. I could have killed loads of people. I'm a terrible serial killer, you know, because I think I only killed one person. If it was a good serial killer, I would have killed loads. It's weird that, isn't it, the way we say Britain's worst serial killer, and you're like, surely the Britain's worst serial killer is like Beatrice Potter or someone. It's like they didn't kill anyone. In my own experience, most who threaten with knives don't know what they're doing, and surprisingly easy to scare off half the time when they don't get the fear they're expecting. Yeah. Gallifrey man, I'm sick of the papers. I'm sick of the wankers who told us Brexit would be great. Single mothers are devils. Immigrants are stealing our biscuits, and trans people are hiding under every toilet lid. Well, that stat that came out about there being 9 anti-trans stories across 4 newspapers over 5 years, from the 2020 to 2020. 9 anti-trans stories a day. A day. There used to be 3 anti-trans organisations in this country. Now there's 51. 51. And they're funded by American, American think tanks, which then in turn are funded by the fossil fuel companies. and the biggest push for anti-trans legislation in this country is being pushed by an American think tank that was instrumental in the rolling back of women's reproductive rights in the USA. Well, let's have a look at how this has been responded to by Refuck. Zia Yusuf, himself an immigrant, actually standing up and saying we should stop all Sudanese people coming here. I mean, how utterly ridiculous is that? Sorry, Zia Yusuf's not an immigrant. He was born in Scotland. But he did go to Hampton School. Hampton School. Very rich, very posh. Hampton School. His parents were Sri Lankan Muslims. And, I don't know if obviously they had a bit of watch, send him off to Hampton School. But having been to Sri Lanka, it is a Buddhist country. The government is Buddhist. And if you are a minority religion, if you're a Tamil, a Hindu, if you are Muslim, you're not necessarily treated particularly well. And just to be clear, those scumbags doing the rioting in Belfast don't care about the victim. They're just recidivist scumbags holding us all hostage. Says Just Hannah. Yeah, you couldn't be more correct. Absolutely. And I absolutely agree. Is Hannah all right? Did I read sorry, Hannah? It was grim. Oh, I'm sorry, Hannah. I'm trying to read what you were writing about. Just Hannah. I wish you could just do a search on this for one like you should be able to press on someone's name on here and it just comes up with all of their messages. Late Monday night. Sorry, Hannah. I don't know. It's come up. Belated trigger warning. Yeah, sorry, Cuthbert. I didn't know that was going to be quite as grim as it was. For those, admittedly blurry and low res images, but you got the idea, and it's really quite grim. It was really quietly around my way last night, but there's more coming this afternoon. There was an attempt at something in Liverpool on Hatton Gardens, just off just off Dale Street, between Dale Street and Ty Barton Street in Liverpool, and there was some footage of it circulating last night, but it was nothing. I mean, it was just a few dozen dickheads shouting at the police. But what's happened in Northern Ireland has been particularly grim, and it is very easy to get angry young men to go out and burn things. It really is, and we really need to stop the rabble rousers from doing this. And I think one of the ways that we need to stop it is by banning Twitter in this country. Ban Twitter. Just ban it outright. Just say that's it. This platform is used to spread disinformation, hatred, and it is causing irreparable damage to the fabric of our society. We need to get rid of it. It's full of pedophiles. It's full of fucking nonsense. It's full of men who want to make images of naked children. It is just the most grimmest fucking place imaginable on the planet, on the internet. Get rid of it. Ban it. That's it. It's gone. It's fine. There are other social media platforms are available. And this is what annoys me. Like, when the News of the World got shut down. Well, of course it got shut down because it was a piece of shit newspaper, and it was owned by Rupert Murdoch, who owns the Scum newspaper and the Times, right, and Sky TV, and he owned 20th Century Fox News. Over in Australia, he owned the Sydney Morning Herald and all that shite, right? But he the Murdoch press, right, were found, and the Mirror as well. It wasn't just the Murdoch press. Piers Morgan as well, up to this, were found to have hacked the voicemails of celebrities, of people who even weren't celebrities. They hacked the voicemail of Millie Dowler, who was a teenager, a young girl who was murdered, and they hacked her voicemail so they could listen to any new messages coming in, and they actively deleted messages in her voicemail that could have been used to help, bring the person who did it to justice. And they didn't care. And then eventually this all came out, and there was a sacrificial lamb, even though a lot of newspapers were involved in this, was the News of the World, right? Okay, right, News of the World gone. Did the world stop spinning? Did we lose our freedom of speech? Was that it for like people being able to voice their opinion about things? No. No, it absolutely was not. In fact, things got actually better after that rag was scrapped. Although they introduced the Sun on Sunday, which is essentially the news of the world, just with a different masthead. And I'll say the same thing about Twitter, right? There are other social media platforms available. There is Mastodon, if anyone still uses that. There's Blue Sky. There's Threads. There's Instagram. There's Facebook. There's TikTok. There's YouTube. There are other platforms that are available. Make an example. Make an example. If this platform is not conducive to our to safety and to peace in our society, in our communities, then we ban it. That's it. We ban one of many platforms, like the News of the World was forced to shut up shop. One of many newspapers. It's fine. There are other newspapers. The world keeps spinning. But they're like, no, we can't. I mean, what about free speech, eh? What about free speech? You fucking set up an account on another fucking platform that actually abides by the law in this country. And isn't owned by someone who routinely flouts the law of this country by encouraging shit like this. This is our country. In flames because of some disgusting fucking sour-faced South African K-hole motherfucker, Elon Musk, a racist, anti-Semite, Nazi-loving motherfucker who does Nazi salutes and thinks it's funny. This sketchy, weird, blinky fucking weirdo who was elevated to this godlike status by dickheads who like to think that because he's an idiot's idea of a genius. He is a moron's idea of a polymath. All he is a fucking nepo baby who had enough money to spread his bets and therefore got lucky. He invested in all kinds of shit in the noughties. PayPal paid off. Tesla paid off. But that was it. Everything else fucking failed. It didn't matter. He had enough money to spread his bets. He didn't put his entire life inheritance on the line. This is a man whose stepmother is his stepsister. Okay? This is a man who comes from a fucked up family with a fucked up father who married his own stepdaughter who he raised from the age of 3. That's some fucking grooming right there. His father is a fucking groomer. And then we, trans allies, we get accused of being groomers. We get accused of being paedophiles for standing up for trans rights. By the likes of Graham Linehan, who thinks he can just say whatever the fuck he likes on Musk's X network. And of course he can. Because he's on X. He's on Elon Musk's fucking X platform. Even Elon Musk said he was much happier once he'd given up social media. I don't think he's given up social media. He seemed to be on it this last week, going on about the stabbing of the murder of Henry Novak, and this week he's back again, tweeting about what's happening in the UK. Nothing to do with him. Nothing to do with him. But we all know a BA won't come. Labour won't fight the hand that a ban won't come. Labour won't fight the hand that feeds. But what Musk does nothing for Labour. In fact, if anything, Musk makes Labour's job more difficult. Elon's dad was an evil Nazi. He isn't. He's still alive. He's still alive and still fucking his own stepdaughter, who he's now got 2 kids with. These people are fucked up and evil. I mean, you want to draw a diagram of an evil person, it'll look a lot like Elon Musk. He's like a Bond supervillain who is drunk on power and money. And tomorrow is he's going to make him. He's going to become the world's first trillionaire when dickheads buy his stock in his fucking companies. It's SpaceX, which covers his AI and also Twitter and also something else as well. There's one profitable part of that mix, and it only earns a little bit, not trillions upon trillions. The court case about the hostile takeover of Tesla is very funny. Well, that's something that he did. He made out that he changed history. You know, he did a Winston from 1984. He changed history to say that he was a founder of Tesla. He fucking wasn't a founder of Tesla. It's just that he did a deal to say you got to say I was a founder when the company had been around for years before he came along. Which is just, it's just all a bit grim. You could argue that Facebook is good for hobbies and keeping in touch with old friends, but Twitter is no longer that. It's now just an outlet for misinformation and propaganda from the far right. Yeah, Graham Price. There is no excuse for keeping Twitter. It should just be banned. And when I tried to make a petition about it, they denied the petition. When you set up a petition on the government petition website, you've got to get 5 people to back it, and then once that you got those 5 people, it goes through to. Oh no, actually no. Before you get the 5 people to back it, when you send it off to them, they've got to make sure that it's going to be legal. And apparently, it's not legal to send to start a petition to ban a particular company. But like, I want to see more talking about the fact that we've got these American companies, Starbucks, Amazon, Twitter, that absolutely dominate our lives, and we're just seeing, Tate and Lyle, this great British company born out of the slave trade, but Tory supporters. But that's not the point. The point is it's been bought by an American company. Like Cadbury's was bought by an American company. Like Roundtree's was bought by a Swiss company. Like Lever Brothers was bought or consolidated with Unilever, a Dutch company. The more gammons on Facebook than here on YouTube. Prefer it here, to be fair. Yeah. Facebook is terrible for the gams because there's a lot of older people who don't know the difference between AI and reality. I mean, they don't know the difference between fantasy and reality at the best of times. It's an entire generation, and I've got my finger on the not all boomers button, which I do have to press, but a lot of boomers don't know the difference between fact and fiction. They haven't got a clue because they grew up in an environment in which, and it's not necessarily their fault, they grew up in environments that, lead, asbestos, concrete, shite, piss. But also, they grew up in a world where they will go into the library or they'll go into a bookshop, and there'll be a sign to the left saying fiction. There'll be a sign to the right saying non-fiction. It was really clearly labelled. They wouldn't pick up a history book and automatically think, oh, this must be bollocks. They'll pick up a history book and they'll go, well, this has been published, so obviously it's not, no one's getting sued for what's been written. There's nothing libelous in here. And although whenever you have a history book, it's always going to be made up of people's opinions of the people who were there at the time, you could be 90% sure that a lot of the facts in there, when it comes to what date the battle happened, you can argue about the reason why it happened, but the dates that it happened, you could take it as read as they were pretty as accurate as we could possibly be back in the day. You picked up a book about science and it would tell you stuff about science. They wouldn't try and mislead you. They wouldn't try and tell you, oh yeah, the world's actually flat and the moon is made of fucking cheese and blah, blah, blah. It wouldn't appear in a proper science book. That would be in the fiction section. That would be in the satire section. That would be in the parody section of the bookstore, of the library. We don't have that anymore. We don't have those signs. You've got to suss it out for yourself. All the books are mixed in with each other. You've got science mixed in with pseudoscience. You've got history mixed in with pseudo history, made up events, and this idea that we've got to beat the drum for how great the British Empire was when actually the British Empire was pretty fucking grim. Thank you very much. And it's not as though you have to study this stuff. It's not like you have to sit down and read all this stuff for a long time. You don't have to. All you need to do is just dip your toe into the well, and just read a little thing to say, wasn't it great when we had fog in London and smog? Wasn't it great? When 10,000 people fucking died in 1951, 1952 from the smog. Yeah, great, fucking wonderful. That brought in the Clean Air Act, by the way, which has been accelerated over the years. So now that you've got the ultra high emission zone, and the same people who go, wasn't it great when we were breathing toxic air? And now saying, oh, wasn't it great when we were breathing in all these petrol fumes and children were dying of asthma? Can we bring that back? But yeah, Twitter should be banned. I don't give a fuck. The arguments that, it provides a service as a town square. It's not a town square, because it's a town square full of misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. if Musk's intelligence and was supposed to believe, he wouldn't have fallen so far down the far right anti-trans rabbit hole. He's not as smart as he makes out. I think that's driven mostly. I don't think he's that smart. He's not a coder. He's not, he doesn't make rockets. He just pays people to make rockets. He's not a rocket scientist. He's not a brain surgeon. But Graham, yeah, the anti-trans thing is just because he couldn't handle his daughter becoming trans. His brain broke. And I think there's some parallels there with another famous transphobe who may or may not have had the same situation happen. A lot of you know who I'm talking about there, but yeah, couldn't handle it because they saw it as a threat to their masculinity. In the same way that in the 1980s, if you came out as gay to your parents, 9 times out of 10 they'll throw you out of your house and you become fucking homeless. Now the same thing is happening to trans kids, spurred on by the Heritage Foundation in America and the campaign for family values, or whatever the fuck they call themselves today. Sex Matters and all these gobshite organizations set up to destroy the lives of trans people. And he's supporting them because his daughter's trans and he can't handle it. His ego cannot handle it. He's got all the money in the world, but he's never going to be happy because he can't be happy for his daughter. I've got a couple of stepdaughters, but I'm not a breeder myself. I don't have any of my own kids, and it's fascinating. I find it endlessly fascinating that humans have children, and then they hate them. They hate what their children are, and 99 times out of 100, the things that they hate most about their children are things they hate about themselves, and they hate the fact that is being reflected back to them. You see this all the time. If you don't want to have kids, don't have kids. If you think that your kids are going to turn out to be absolutely perfect and just have all of your good traits and just all the things you like about yourself and none of the things you don't like about yourself, then don't have kids. Don't. Just don't. It's not going to happen. It doesn't work that way. But I can't think of many more awful things in the world than parents who abuse their children, abandon their children. They bring their children into the world. It's their responsibility. I genuinely think that if a child under the age of 18 commits a horrible, obscene act of horror, rape, or murder, I think the parents should be folded into the dock as well for being terrible fucking parents. And you watch something like Adolescence, and you do have a lot of sympathy for the parents in that respect. And it's something that I think parents should be scared of. Genuinely, in the same way that I think that men should be scared of being accused of abuse. Men should be scared of being accused of assaulting someone. And if they were really genuinely scared of that happening, they would act very differently. They wouldn't put themselves in situations where it might be construed that they had done something. They will, pick their walking path home at night where the CCTV cameras are, like women have to make sure that no one accuses them of dragging them down a dark alley. Jimmy says people are who they are, not who you want them to be. If more people remembered that, the world would be a far better place. Yeah. Gallifreyan Ren, that reminds me, today I'm going to reach my work goal for the year and make some comforting pasta and probably have an early night. I'm going to enjoy it all. How about you, Rolling? Happy. I love that. I love that for you, Gallifreyan Ren. That is beautiful. And yeah, the best revenge is a life well lived. The best revenge is being happy and being content with what you've got. And thank you, Gallifreyan Ren, because you've been helping me as well get off my arse and getting Top of the World written. So I'm going to be writing some more of that today. Obviously, we've got PMQs at 12 o'clock. I'll just double check we've got PMQs at 12 o'clock. It's not half term, is it, or something daft? I'll just double check that we do have PMQs with Graham Hughes while I'm checking that. Yeah. If you do want to join me this afternoon, I will be writing chapter 7 of I actually wrote a bit more yesterday after the show. I was just in the mood for writing. And in the evening as well, I was like, I want to keep going with this. And that's really great. I've got over the transition, no one likes transitions. No one likes the period of transition. You like the goal. You like the finishing it off and going. It's all done. Can't stand a half-finished jigsaw puzzle. Can't do it. I've got to finish. Can't stand a half-finished crossword. I will sit there for hours staring at a crossword until I finish the damn thing. I just can't let it not be completed. Yeah, is that OCD? Maybe, I don't know. Channels. Let's have a look on the channels here. Parliament channels. I haven't finished the papers yet. I'll be going to the Financial Times in a moment. But it's really cool that we have this relationship where we get to help each other out in this way, and I really love that about this channel, about this gang, our gang. Woo! There you go. And Gallifreyan Men, on the contrary, I've loved the transition. Yeah, okay, Gallifreyan Men, but can I ask, like, the actual transitioning period must have been a bit grim, and then I'm guessing that once that was all done, that was hurrah. You know what I mean? Like, once the jigsaw was completed, once the crossword was finished, once the grass was cut, or whatever you were doing, once the job was finished, you were like, yes. But I struggle with transitions. I struggle with getting over the hump to get started on something. But once I get started on it, woohoo! Here we go. I've not had an uphill battle blocking thousands, only about 100, says L. Yeah, there's that's one of the reasons I packed in using Twitter, says Graham Price. I was spending half my life on there blocking absolutely horrible people or arguing with even worse people. Yeah, it's just wasting your time, because most of them are bots anyway. Who cares? Anyway, Prime Minister's questions, 12 o'clock today. Yeah, that is absolutely happening today, so that's good. Right, I'm going to head over to the papers now. Financial Times. Go back to papers. Can Germany make its trains run on time? Ooh, that's a bit of a loaded question. The Iran debacle is turning Trump into Carter. Carter, the unstoppable sex machine. Cool. I like that. Boots owners talks on $10 billion sale. Cast IPO plans in doubt. Buyout firm Sycamore courts bidders. City hope of ending drought. Denters. The owners of Boots, isn't it Walgreen who own Boots now, are in talks over a $10 billion sale with bidders including the billionaire Western family and Australian pharmacy group Sigma Healthcare, in a deal that would see the health and beauty retailer abandon plans for a London initial public offering. So yeah, they're not going to float it on the London Stock Exchange. They'll float it on someone else's stock exchange because we don't need money. One angry pagan. Love the sound of falling rain. Oh, mate, absolutely. Not all boomers. So that wasn't meant to come up. Go away. No, I love the sound of falling rain. I love the smell after, like it's been a hot day and you get the rain in the afternoon and the smell. Oh, it's so good. But yeah, being on my island when the rain's coming down on the tin roof of the house, it's just, I don't know, it's something magical about it. It really is. Or down at the boat dock on the roof there. Not really. Still in the process in a number of ways. Second puberty and all that. I'm enjoying the journey. It's the noisy bell ends that I don't enjoy. Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough, Gallifreyan Man. But yeah, noisy bell ends. I suppose I enjoy travel, don't I? But then I see the travel as the ends. Do you know what I mean? Like I enjoy the travel bit of traveling more than I enjoy it when I get to places. To be honest with you, I'll enjoy the challenge. I enjoy the meeting new people and buzzing along. I mean, I don't like flying. I I really don't like flying. Liminal space that airports are, and I don't like all the security shit at airports. It's just a drag. One angry pagan, because of the shape of the bay, storms here in Torbay are fantastic. Yeah, I love a good storm. I lived in a tin shed before I bought this thatched cottage, Pagey. I miss the sound of the rain more than anything. Oh, I see. Look, taking joy in the small things, I don't like being out in the rain, especially if it's cold. I don't mind if it's warm. That's all right. When it's cold, no, that's not fun. I don't like driving a boat in the rain. I don't like driving a boat in the rain because it's just the wind, or being in a boat in the rain when you're moving quite fast, because the rain turns into little tiny bullets like shooting into your face. It's just some fun. I don't like some foods. Wow, diversity banned me from cafes. It's okay. It's stopped raining here for a while. Sun's come out for 5 minutes. That's pretty good. It looked quite nice here in Durham this morning, but it's looking a bit more grey now. Um, but I've been closing my curtains because otherwise it messes with me the what's it called, the lighting in the room. I'm too dark because the background's too well lit sometimes, and so I'm not always fiddling with me contrast and me levels and shit. I just kind of close the curtains now. I did that when I was doing my Guinness World Record attempt. It's just whole time. I submitted my evidence. Finally got to submit my evidence for the Guinness World Record attempt yesterday. So that's off now, and hopefully they'll get back to me in the next 6 months and tell me if I got the record or if they need more information. A big problem I've got actually is that the TikTok that I did. So I had it running when I did the 65.5 hour live stream 2 weeks ago. I had it running on here on YouTube. I also had it running on my laptop on a different camera through Twitch, which I've got, but it fucked up at the beginning. The first 3.5 hours are fucked, but after that, it's fine. And then I had I had TikTok going on my phone. The TikTok split into various videos, but it just won't download. It just will not download onto my phone. It gets to 99%, and then it just stops. It doesn't even say can't be downloaded or nothing. And then I end up with this file that's like 5 gigabytes big, and it won't let me play it. It just says, video file cannot be played back. Graham, power to the people, Graham Fice. I was at Glastonbury in 2007 when it rained solidly for 5 days. Then the sun came out on Monday on the way home. I've hated rain ever since. I was at that Glastonbury, Graham. I was at that Glastonbury. That was the one where it flooded in Penard Fields on the other side of the railway line, and you were walking on the embankment on the railway line, and isn't the embankment when it goes up? Is that when it goes down? I don't know. You're walking on the railway line, which is raised, and there was just like a lake to the right of you, and there were loads of like tents stuck in this lake. I've told this story before, but there was a guy. We were walking on the railway line, and you could see all, there was portaloos floating in the fucking in this brown water at the bottom of the hill, and all these tents and stuff. And there was a guy like wading through like this, and he was up to here, like in water, and he's wading through, and then he gets to like I guess his tent or whatever, and he disappeared under the water, and everyone's like stopping each other on the railway track. What the fuck, man? What the fuck? He's gone underwater. What's he doing? Is he all right? Is he all right? And everyone's like, shit, do we have to go and rescue him? And then about 5 seconds later, he emerged out the water, like, this dirty, filthy, shitty water at the bottom of the hill. He emerged out the water with a 24-pack of beer on his head. And the whole crowd cheered. They were like, "Yes, you rescue your beer, mate." Wash those cans before you drink them, though. Jesus Christ! But yeah, I remember that Glastonbury well. I remember a friend of mine who did not take any wellies with her because she was determined. She was determined that if she took wellies, it would rain. If she didn't take wellies, it wouldn't rain. And it totally fucking rained. She didn't take any wellies, and it rained. And then we had to queue up for about 3 hours to get some wellies. So yeah, last my house was good old Glastonbury. just wonderful seeing someone come out of the water. It was like like a piss take of one of those adverts for like Timotei. They're in the waterfall in nature and they flick their hair around. It was like a mockery of that. Someone coming out of this dirty, shitty, muddy water with the beer. Yes. I've got me beer. Yay! Great days. Anyway, so we're going to go over to the Financial Times again. Trump says US must respond to Iran's downing of Apache over Hormuz Strait. So there's been Apache helicopters come down. Flood of mega listings sparks warning over limits of demand on Wall Street. US markets are close to ending more than 2 decades of falling equity supply as a trio of mega initial public offerings bring a flood of new shares that investors warn could strain the limits of demand. SpaceX, Anthropic, and OpenAI's listing plans come to Wall Street's existing big tech groups to look at multi-billion-dollar share sales to fund their vast AI spending in a reversal of decades of share buybacks that have helped US stocks more than triple since 2016. Goldman Sachs estimates net supply of US equity measured by new shares hitting the market, less equity removed by buybacks or companies after going private will be almost flat in 2026 after being in negative territory since 2003. Some observers worry investors will need to sell stocks to make way for fresh equity in their portfolios, leading to further turbulence. Nasdaq has fallen 1.5% by yesterday morning, exceeding Friday's 4.2% fall. Intel and Dell, which have added to 132% and 161% respectively over the past 3 months, have both fallen sharply. The whole market needed a correction. It had got way too hot. More than $1 trillion of value has been wiped from the Magnificent Seven group of US tech giants since SpaceX filed for its IPO last month, and warnings that investors are selling up to raise funds. Everyone's chasing what's next. So not only is this floating of SpaceX tomorrow likely to fuck people's pension funds and lose a lot of money for a lot of early investors by the looks of things, it's also going to take money. It's also already taking money from other shares, other stocks, because people only have so much money to invest at the moment. Some of that is invested in Apple, some of that's invested in Amazon, some of that's invested in IBM, whatever. And they've only got so much money, and they're taking the money out of that to then buy what Elon Musk is selling. Now, there's 3 companies that are going onto the stock exchange, right? And it's not, the most ridiculous of which is this SpaceX flotation, in which they're only selling about 8% of the shares, 80% of the power, and 80% of the share voting power is Elon Musk, who is the CEO and the CTO and the chief fucking the CVO and the CFO and the CEO. The seesaw, seashells on the seashore, and that this is giving big bubble vibes, right? And what's going to be interesting is there's going to be SpaceX going first, and then there's going to be Anthropic and OpenAI. Now, Anthropic and OpenAI may suffer because they come along too late, and everyone's already invested their shares into what's it called? SpaceX, but there's only a limited number of shares from SpaceX that are going on sale, right? So if that's successful, more people are going to buy Anthropic and more people are going to buy OpenAI shares when they go onto the stock exchange, right? Or they go onto the NASDAQ. But if it goes badly, that's going to bode badly for Anthropic and for OpenAI, and they may have to reevaluate how much they're going to sell their shares for. I think all things being equal, it's probably going to do all right. Unfortunately, because they have set up the system, so I can't see it failing. I might be wrong. I might be catastrophically wrong. I hope I am wrong. I hope it does fail catastrophically. I hope all these fucking cunts lose all their money. I hope I hope it's like the end of trading places for these motherfuckers. I hope these motherfuckers are on the street, hoping that Akeem from Wakanda or wherever he's from walks past and gives them some money, because otherwise that's it. Out on the streets, motherfuckers. That's what I want to see. I want to see them ruined. I want to see them ruined like the end of trading places. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think, unfortunately. Maggie Pie, Guten Morgen, God Morgen, from Finland, and from Germany, and from Sweden. Thank you for all that. That's very kind of you. Good morning to you all. I'm not going to attempt to read the Finnish because I'll pronounce it so badly you'll hate me forever. The AI fraud is coming to an end, says Daylight M. Well, I don't know, mate. This is the thing, Daylight M. I thank you very much for being a member for 15 months. So that's very cool. But is it though? I do worry, because like Milei got in Argentina, and we're like, oh, he's gonna fuck the economy, and he's gonna be gone in 6 months, and he wasn't. Trump he did such a bad job in the first term. He can't possibly come back. He came after doing January the 6th. 3 police officers committed suicide after that. No, 4. Sorry, 4 police officers committed suicide January the 6th, and they were stamping on the cops' heads, they were pushing them, they were kicking them. 150 police officers injured. 9 people died as a direct result. There was, and they got away with it. Not only did they get away with it, Trump wants to get them all $1 million fucking dollars each. So yeah, there's a lot of people online saying things are going to go really badly, but then also, Bitcoin. I've heard about the death of Bitcoin over the last. It's becoming like hydrogen for me now. The death of Bitcoin. It's like, it's the hydrogen revolution. It's just around the corner. Wait for the death of the Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin's lost a lot of value. I think it's lost 50% of its value in the last few months, but it doesn't matter. It's already way ahead of what it was years ago. So yeah, I want the AI bubble to burst the way the 90s IT bubble did burst. Maggie Pie, yeah, I wanted to. I really do want it to, but I'm not sure if it will in the same way. I think it might be a slow deflation, if anything. I want it to burst. If it does, I'll be so fucking happy. Okay, I'll be made up. All these twats will lose lots of money. Great. I won't like the knock-on effects to economies, but as far as gobshites are concerned, I'll be happy to see fools and their money parted from each other. But the difference between the dot-com bubble and this is that the dot-com bubble was a lot of angel investors or vulture capitalists, whatever you call them, putting money into these startups that said, we're going to sell clothes on the internet. We're going to sell this on the internet. We're going to sell that on the internet. We're going to make a platform for people to do this on the internet. And they didn't know what would work and what wouldn't. And these were startups with nothing behind them. The thing about, SpaceX, Anthropic, OpenAI, they've got stuff behind them. They're being backed by some of these big companies. I don't think Apple's going to go tits up anytime soon. I don't think Microsoft is, or even though Copilot is fucking shite, Apple's given up on AI. It's just let other people do it, which is, I think, the sensible move right now. And AI is horrifically overvalued. I do think there needs to be a correction coming in at some point. I just don't think it's going to pop. I just don't think there's going to be an explosion where everyone gets covered in goo. As much fun as that sounds, I just don't think it's going to happen. The AI bubble has been ready to burst any day now for many months, and how many times I've been told fart is done for. Seems to me that the coping mechanism for world sliding into fascism. I agree with Gallifreyan on that point. Absolutely. Oh, they're all done for. We keep hearing about Trump. He's about to die. Oh, he hasn't been seen in public for a few days. He's dead. Oh, he's had to go to Walter Reed. He's dying. He's got dementia. He can't walk straight. He wears a nappy. It doesn't matter. Oh, back in 2022, we were told that Putin was dying. We were told he had cancer and he didn't have long to live. And this is the thing. Propaganda works both ways. It's not just the right who believes shite that just, told the left do as well. We're constantly bombarded every day. We go online and we see these videos that come up and going, Trump he suffers his greatest humiliation yet. No, he doesn't. Shut the fuck up. He doesn't get humiliated because he doesn't have any shame. He can't be humiliated. He can't be disgraced because in his head he cannot feel shame. He doesn't have the higher level emotional ability to understand what shame is or self-reflection. Or anything, it's going to make no difference. Or, they made a fool of him. He walked out of an interview, and then a few hours later, he put out a tweet saying that actually it was the woman who was interviewing him who walked out. And we all saw it was him walking out. Maybe it's lack of sleep talking about Pandora's box is open, except we got it from Temu, and there's no hope in it. I was going to say, Gallifreyan Ren, you mentioned Pandora's box. What was left at the bottom was hope. And I do still have hope. I know you might feel this is copium or hopium or whatever you want to call it, but there are some concrete things that have happened as a result of Trump being the leader of America. The EU is stronger than ever before. Since any point since the Brexit vote. The UK is making overtures to get closer and closer to Europe because we have to. We've got no choice. Countries all over the world are accelerating the path to net zero. So much so that countries like Laos are banning the import of internal combustion engine cars. These countries are diversifying their energy away from fossil fuels at a breakneck speed, faster than ever before, because they have to. They've got no choice. Oil is a commodity we cannot control the price of, and we cannot continue going on with this system where we're paying over the odds for electricity. There's a massive wind farm off the Durham coast here. The Dogger Bank off the North Yorkshire coast is going to go online over the next 12 to 18 months, and you're going to see all this power coming in that we're going to be getting first and foremost here in Durham and North Yorkshire, and we're not going to see our bills coming down because we're still going to be paying for the fucking gas. We're paying on what the most expensive bit of the mix is, even if it's only 3% of the mix. We're paying for the gas. And for many years, the most expensive part of the grid was nuclear. But yeah, nuclear, as Americans, nuclear. They can't say nuclear, can they? Fucking weirdos. Who was saying about Triangle of Sadness? What's that? Film recommendation: Triangle of Sadness. It's brilliant satire. Yeah, I did enjoy the Triangle of Sadness. I don't want to give spoilers for Send Help or whatever it was called. That movie that came out earlier this year. But yeah, it became obvious quite early on that the filmmakers of Send Help or whatever it's called. Is it called Send? I don't think it's called Send Help. Send Help. Oh yeah, it's called Send Help. With Rachel McAdams in it. Yeah, the filmmaker of that had seen the Triangle of Sadness and took a major plot point from it. But yeah, a lot of fun, that film. For all my positive talk, with all I've been through, hope scares me more than anything else. That's why I'm so resistant to hopium. Yeah, I have hope for Burnham, who hope will take closest to the EU. I've still got hope, says Graham Price. We're going through a tough time, but decency and honesty will win in the end. It always does eventually. Yeah, I do believe that. And there's, as Leonard Cohen famously said, there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And I keep going back to the Andor manifesto from the character in Nemik's manifesto. I should put this on my I don't want to the imperial need for control is so desperate because it is so unnatural. Tyranny requires constant effort. Such a great line. Tyranny requires constant effort. It breaks, it leaks. Authority is brittle. Oppression is the mask of fear. That key line there, tyranny requires constant effort. And that's why it always fails. Because you got to keep at it, you got to keep at it, you got to keep at it. And there's a point where people say, no more. Stop this shit. Stop going down this route. And sometimes that happens as a response to what's going on. And I'm seeing more and more people actually standing up now and making impassioned speeches on behalf of the trans community, standing up and being counted as a trans ally. Not enough, don't get me wrong, not enough, but more than before. And because people are just going, hang on, what? People who didn't want to get involved in the arguments before because they didn't feel like they were qualified to comment on it, or they thought it made them a bad feminist in order to, this is the conflation of feminism and anti-trans rhetoric, which the right wing have been so effective at, so fucking effective at. You've got people on the left, women on the left, cisgender women on the left, members of trade unions, leaders of feminist movements who have been brainwashed into believing that their feminism it hinges on being transphobic, trans exclusive. But I'm hoping there's going to be a kickback, a big kickback. SG, as a parent, no choice but to hold on to hope. Otherwise, too tired to contemplate. I'm 53. Don't think my parents had to hold on to hope this way. No, the boomer generation, things got incrementally better throughout their entire lives. Maggie Pie, thank you very much for the 20 Swedish krona. Give DUP and TUV their own island, Little Britain. Yeah. Give them, is it Rockall? Give them that. Nobody read that Burnham agrees with Nigel Farage about asylum seekers then. Says blah blah CW. I hadn't seen that. No. Cuthbert says, but that constant effort is being done by AI and the internet. We might be in trouble there. Yeah. I mean, it's the reason why we need to be taking control of this. And the Labour governments are shit at this. They are really fucking shit at taking control of the situation. You know, when you meet someone who can walk into a room and just command the room, like the whole room just turns to look at them and they take over the room. That's what Labour needs. They need that type of person, a good type of that person, not a bad type, like Nigel Farage or Trump or Boris Johnson. But they need that. Keir Starmer's not that. Keir Starmer. No diss on accountants, but he just comes across as an accountant. He comes across as a pen pusher, a bureaucrat in a bigger machine. I'm sorry, that's what the computer says now. L says, Graham, the concern is Labour is doing it. I'm talking LGBT. That pendulum isn't swinging back in our favour. But I've seen a lot of Labour MPs, women, cisgender women, Labour MPs standing up and defending the trans community and saying that this guidance is bullshit. I don't know what's going to happen with it over the next few months, next few weeks. Sorry, we've only got a couple of weeks now before the government has to decide whether to bring this in. But when they do, it's going to be an absolute shit fest because it's so ridiculous. It sort of says, well, if you're concerned about someone who you think may be trans using the toilet, go and tell the people working at the bar. And what am I supposed to do? I'm working on the bar on my own. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to go into the women's toilets and tell someone to get out? Am I supposed to demand to see their genitals? Like, how does it fucking work? How does it work? I'm supposed to ring up the fucking police? Am I supposed to ring up the authorities to tell the council, make a report, fill out a fucking form? Am I supposed to bar that person from my bar? I mean, what if they're a regular and they're a sweet person who wouldn't say boo to a goose, and I'm going to throw them out my bar and bar them from my bar for using the toilet that they feel most comfortable in using? I mean, yeah. Oh God, you're so quick. What did this person say? Did they? You bloody better of a joke man. Better joke of a man. Yes, I am a better man. You know what? Sometimes I look at my Guinness World Record certificates on the wall, and I turn around, look at my beautiful partner who is absolutely drop dead gorgeous. She was a model in her youth, and she's actually a doctor. She's got a physics. She's got a PhD in physics. Really high-powered job. She's in charge of a lot of people. Sometimes I just think about my island, my private island in the Caribbean that I won in a game show. Sometimes I think about my travels around the world to literally every single country in the world, single-handed on a shoestring budget, supported by just my friends and family, without flying. I think about all the wonderful people that I met on my journey, and I think about the TV show that I made for Lonely Planet, National Geographic, and the BBC. I think about the books that I've written and the times that I did TED Talks, 7 TED Talks, one of them in California, which got a standing ovation. The places I've been, the things I've seen, the friendships I've made. I think about the starry nights in the Sahara Desert. I think about watching one of the last space shuttles taken off into the sky. I think about staying with tribes in Papua New Guinea and in Gabon. I just think about all this stuff that I've done. I think about, attending all these major sporting events and all these gigs that I've been to. I think about the fact I've been to Glastonbury 16 times. I think I've been to thousands of gigs, literally thousands of gigs. I've seen every single band that's ever been alive while I've been alive. While I've been old enough to go to gigs, I've seen them all live, usually multiple times. The people I've met, and the experiences that I've had, and the laughs that I've had, and the drinks that I've had, the nights out that I've had, the dancing, the laughter, the the Bohemi, my friends who are just fucking brilliant, my family who are brilliant, my mum is probably watching this. Hi, mum, who's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I look back at all the things I've done in life. The fact, obviously, got a Wikipedia page, and because of all the stuff I've done, and on my birthday every year, the fact that we feed all the homeless people in Liverpool get a hot plate of scouse, hot bowl of scouse every year on my birthday because of something that I set up, Global Scouse Day, on my birthday. So did that, and sometimes I look back on all that stuff and all the things I've done, and I think, beta, God, oof. If only I could be a better man. If only I could have done more. I mean, when people say stuff like that, and you look at their lives and you realize they're really not happy. They're really depressed, probably, about the fact they've done nothing with their lives apart from go on the internet and write mean things about other people. You can see why they are the way they are, especially when they're confronted with someone like me who has a fucking great time all the fucking time. It's my life philosophy. But yeah, I'll just chill out, at my 3 Guinness World Records, a 4th one on the way, and, just dreaming of the next mad adventure that I'm going on that, 99.9% of the population just simply wouldn't be capable of doing. Even if they were capable of doing it, they wouldn't be able to because they don't have as many passports as me. I realised this today. I've got 9 passports now. 9 British passports. Is that a bit mad? And they're all full. They're all absolutely absolutely filled every page with stamps, every page, stamps. That's a lot of places, a lot of travels. It's not the years, my friend, it's the mileage. But yeah, sometimes I look at all that and think, if only I'd just stayed at home and done nothing and just sat on the internet and been horrible to people. Yeah. Oh well, different strokes for different folks, I guess. What about the graves of cannibals you've visited? Yeah, Andre, the great cannibal king of Fiji. That's fun that I put that video up last night. I want to do more of that because I've got loads of these great videos that I could put up, like me spending Christmas with a family in Fiji, going to a zoo in I stayed with a bunch of zookeepers in Townsville in Australia and went to the zoo the next day and fed a crocodile, going to Komodo Island and seeing the Komodo dragons and hanging out with them. And really fun stuff. SG, so you got that, sorry. Got book 1 now, Graham, Man of the World. Brilliant. Good stuff. Hopefully by the time you've finished it, I'll have finished Top of the World, the sequel to it. But we will see. Yeah. God, I think about all the people that I've parties with. Like, proper fucking parties. Jesus Christ. I've had some good nights out, my friends. Can't complain. No complaints. I finished my bucket list when I was 33. I'm like fucking Alexander the Great in that respect. And Jesus. Right, I've done everything I need to do now. What else? I didn't die at the age of 33, unlike those motherfuckers. So, I did have as my 34th birthday party. I did call it my Better Than Jesus party. Because on the grounds that I lived longer than him. I thought I was better than him. Also, I believe slavery was wrong. I've got 14 AAA games under my belt. Didn't leave much time for anything else, but made a lot of money for someone. Well done, Martin Harrow. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Labour was supposed to be better than the Tories. Instead, they've been worse for us, as in the trans community. And I have less and less patience for people to say Burnham will be better when it's all the same Labour. I have a bit more belief than you do. Obviously, I'm not living the life that you're living, Gallifrey and Ren, and my absolute sympathy there. I think that if you put enough pressure on Labour, they will fold. Because their position at the moment is absolutely unsustainable, and the real world implications of what they want is it's so grim and stupid. It just can't be. They're just racing through the jungle there. That's quite a fun shot, that, isn't it? I should have done that when I was traveling. I should have got a shot where I was getting hit by trees in the face. It's kind of weird what YouTube chooses to censor sometimes. Yeah, it is. Like I give Labour time. No, I mean I'm not saying that we should rely on Labour to do the right thing. I don't think they will get left to their own devices. I think it's up to us especially trans allies, not necessarily the trans people themselves who have already got enough shit on their plate to deal with. I genuinely believe that it's up to people watching this who aren't trans to be writing to their MPs, going, "What the fuck?" when it comes to this trans guidance, which is just utter bullshit, just utter bullshit. Hey, I tell you this though, any male transphobe that you meet, like women transphobes are different. They've conflated a lot of them. There's fascists obviously, Nazis, but then there's women who have conflated this idea of feminism with being anti-trans. Men, if you meet a man who is rabidly anti-trans, check their hard drive for trans pornography. I bet it is full of trans pornography because they reduce trans women to a fetish, and that's why they feel it's valid to take away their rights. We did exactly the same thing with black women in the 1900s, when black women weren't even treated as women. They were not given the same rights as women. They were not regarded as women. And any kind of women's suffrage, any kind of push towards giving women raw rights, giving women the vote, excluded black women at the time. And now we're seeing the same with trans women. And don't forget, for many years, if you're a black woman in the United States, in the southern states, south of the Mason-Dixie line, you had to fucking use a different fucking toilet to the white women in case you, I don't know, attack them. In case you as a black woman attacked a white woman. Black women in South Africa had to use a separate toilet. Black women in Southwest Africa, and now Namibia, had to use a separate toilet to the white women. And that was okay because they didn't regard black women as women. And they're doing exactly the same now to the trans community. There were certain stark parallels here with, are you old enough to remember Prohibition 100 years ago? I'm not. I mean, maybe David Attenborough does. But most of us don't remember it, but we heard about it. This is this mad thing in America where the gangsters got together with the gangster politicians, because at the time the president was a gangster politician. And they cooked up this mad scheme where they would make booze illegal, and therefore they would make loads of money from gangsters with booze being illegal. And they actually changed the constitution. This wasn't just a law they brought in America. This was an amendment to the constitution that they brought in. And they had this running for 13, 14 years or something, until it was repealed in the early 30s under FDR, because it wasn't working. It wasn't working. But after that, the same people who pushed in this unholy alliance of gangsters and the church and the temperance movement, these do-gooders who thought that they were doing the right thing by stopping people from the evils of drink, when actually they were just doing the gangsters' bidding. They moved on to drugs. Not to take, well, they probably did take them themselves, but they said, okay, the next thing we need to go after is drugs. And that led eventually up to the war on drugs, starting in 1971 under Nixon. So that's 55 years ago. How's that going? How's that war on drugs going, eh? Hey, did we win? Did we win the war on drugs? Is there no more drugs now? And you're seeing the same pattern play out. They had lost the war against alcohol, and so they found something else that they could just go after and say, yeah, we can do this with impunity, right? And the same concept has come true with, has been used with the gay community and the trans community. So the fascists, the gobshites, the small-minded dickheads who didn't pay attention in school and dribble, they and gammon-faced twats, they were very upset when gay marriage was legalized. Isn't it interesting that it was just a couple of years after gay marriage was legalized that transphobia began being a fashionable thing? It became all the rage about 10 years ago, and particularly in the last 5 years. And this was after a meeting of all the people who had been against gay rights getting together, and they had a meeting and they sat down with the oil executives who funded them and these other right-wing think tank representatives, and they literally got people to vote on what their next target could be. They knew they lost the war against gays and lesbians. They needed another target. Who can we go after And the reason why they lost the war against gays and lesbians is that in the end, everyone seemed to know a gay or a lesbian. You know, someone was a gay in their family or a next door neighbor or a colleague, and they were all right. They were all right. They weren't out to kill anyone. They weren't out to fucking stab you in the face for no good reason. Lesbians as well, right? So, you know, once that had gone through, they were like, shit, who should we go after now? And they actually had a vote, and they did vox pops not vox pops. They did surveys, they did polls on the street to find out who their next target could be, and they came down on trans people. And trans people are a perfect target for these gobshites because you got people on the left who are hard lefties who are also TERFs, because you can conflate this idea of being exclusive women's space exclusively for women, which cannot in any way have trans women in, because in their heads trans women don't exist. They're not a real thing, and therefore it's an affront to feminism to allow what they see as men inside women's spaces, any women's space. So, you know, from, I don't know, the Reform Club in London, the all women Reform Club, to the bogs in you know, Shude Hill, fucking bus station in Manchester. You missed my member chat, but I wouldn't miss. You missed my member chat, but I wouldn't miss. Wouldn't mind. I only get one a month. Oh no, I didn't. Sorry, I just haven't gone back. I was going to go back and read some of these. Woo! 30 months. Keep up the good work, Graham. That's from Graham Price. Thank you very much for being a superstar. Welcome, my friends. You are awesome. There you go. I didn't miss it. You're awesome. You are awesome. Well done for being 30 months. That's 2.5 years, isn't it? It's not bad, is it? It's not a bad going. Well done, Jimmy. It was a great match last night. England ladies are playing a warm-up game now. Also washing up, Graham. Proper multitasking. I spent much of my life studying the history of life on this planet. I want to do more active things with my life, but my body said no, so I continued to study and learn instead. Yeah, that's fantastic. And you've done stuff. You've actually done stuff other than just sit on the internet and be horrible to people, which is what, you know, trolls do. Fucking trolls. True story. My Catholic great aunt went for a job at Cadbury's in Bourneville and was rejected on religious grounds. Yep. You can't win a war on drugs without taking the demand away. Yeah. The war on drugs just makes money for criminals. That's why I'll end it tomorrow. I'm with Zach Goldsmith on this. Zach Polanski. I'm with Zach Polanski on this. We should legalize them. That's it. Legalize them, regulate them, tax them, control them, control substances. We don't control them at the moment. So when people say, oh, you want to legalize drugs, and I say, no, I don't. I just want them to stop being uncontrolled substances. I want to control these substances. I want the government and the NHS to control these substances that people are trading on the black market, which is making lots of money for gangsters. Every time you snort a line of cocaine, that line of cocaine is a line of blood that goes all the way across Europe, through Guinea and Africa, all the way over to South America, to Bolivia, to a farmer's field in Bolivia, where their farmer has had their wife and children murdered in front of them, unless they agree to, as a threat, unless they agree to grow cocoa leaves in their fields. Or the drugs mules who are forced to swallow condoms full of drugs in order to get them from one country to the next, you know, funding these extravagant lifestyles. Don't forget when Pablo Escobar was killed, well, before he was killed, he was one of the richest men in the world off the back of selling cocaine to Americans. So yeah, I'd stop it. Just I'm not going to go off on one about drugs and why they should be legalized. I think I've already established that on this channel. But if we did legalize them and treat drug addiction as a medical issue rather than a criminal issue, we would have a much more safer society, and we would have £2 billion a week more to spend on law and order. Because at the moment, £2 billion a week, nearly £100 billion is spent every year. And it's something to do with drugs, whether that is border patrols, making sure drugs aren't coming into the country, whether that's extra policing that we need to stop drugs gangs, whether that is people's lives being cut short because they're part of a drugs gang, county lines gang. Where do they get their money from? They get their money from drugs. And don't be all like, well, I only buy nice drugs from my dealer if you don't grow your own, which is fine. I don't mind people growing their own. But if you buy drugs from a drug dealer, be aware that the racists who murdered Stephen Lawrence, the ringleader of those racists, his dad was one of London's biggest weed dealers. If you give money to criminals, they will use it to do horrible things. Absolutely horrible things. And I don't want that to happen anymore. So yeah, I want the drugs to be legal. I want people who are in jail for non-violent drugs offences to come out, so we don't have to pay for them their room and board every day for the rest of their lives, or however long they've been banged up for. I want to see that money, that £2 billion a week that we waste on this war on drugs that we lost years ago. We lost it back in 1971. I want to see that money spent on healthcare for people who are addicted, and preventative measures to get kids not to jump onto drugs. You still need to spend money on stopping illegal drug imports. No, you wouldn't, Cuthbert, because you make it free, or at least as cheap as possible. You absolutely undercut the criminal networks, and they can't win. Then they're not going to sell drugs in a country where I can just go get a prescription. I mean, obviously, we'd have to have proper, drug dispensaries or whatever. So, places where, shooting galleries or something where people can take drugs in safety. But you wouldn't have any more overdoses. You wouldn't have any more skag cut with any old shit, putting some baking powder in there or some flour or whatever fucking white powder you can find some anthrax, throw it in there. Vimes has spent his life on the streets and met decent men and fools who will steal a penny from a blind beggar. Yep. I liked David Sedaris when he said, we only wanted the right to marry. We weren't supposed to actually do it. Lol. Says yeah. England women, 86-1 in the 12th over against India, if anyone's interested. Whoa. Okay, that's pretty good. Keep going. Keep going. And people who perform silent miracles or desperate crimes every day behind the grubby windows of little houses, but they'll never meet the people. We're getting quotes from Terry Pratchett here in installments, so I'll try and get to the last one before I sign off. But yes, the misinformation about cannabis started in the US in the 1930s because they wanted to demonize Mexicans. Yeah. Because they shifted from, it's the same groups. It was the same groups who pushed for prohibition, changed to the prohibition of drugs, with exactly the same results. You just empower and enrich gangsters. That's it. That's what happens. Really grim, really fucking grim, and I would like that to change. I'd really like that to change. Okay, so we're going to go back to the papers because I still haven't finished the papers yet. Go back over to the Financial Times. I'm going to wrap up for the morning. If anyone wants to drop one more super chat in, by the way, we can release the confetti. GSK pays $10 billion to US group in cancer biotech bet. We've got Starmer warns ministers. The Prime Minister is planning to tell ministers to quit if they back Andy Burnham or any other rival in Labour leadership battle. A move that could bring chaos to the government. What is he doing that for? Woodford hits back. Former Star Fund manager Neil Woodford has hit back at the City. Watchdogs plans for legal action against him and his new service for allegedly giving unauthorised investment advice. Ooh! When I go off on one about AI, how much bullshit it is, or carbon storage, or hydrogen fuel cells, or whatever bollocks they're coming out with today. Maybe I should put a thing at the bottom of the screen saying this is not financial advice, in case you were thinking of investing in it, and then I put you off. ITV welcomes World Cup. The channel says it's poised for a record advertising windfall, and as an expanded tournament and an influx of demand from AI groups boost broadcasters in an otherwise weak market. A demand from AI groups. AI hunts for Orban cash. Hungary's anti-corruption office has developed AI technology to track money allegedly siphoned off during former Prime Minister Viktor Orban's 16 years in power in Budapest, his reign of terror, his reign of ever. China, blacklist extended. The Pentagon has reinstated BYD, Alibaba, and Baidu to a blacklist of Chinese groups it deemed pose a national security risk to the US. Okay. I mean, BYD, they pose a risk to the profits of Tesla, don't they? EU weighs Russia oil shift. Brussels is considering pushing back until January a planned rise in its price cap, aiming to limit the boost to Moscow's revenues from higher crude prices triggered by the Iran war. I hope it does that. Dutch supercar revival. Ukrainian billionaire Volodymyr Nozov, founder of one of Europe's largest cryptocurrency platforms, has taken a big stake in Spiker Cars' latest bid to revive the 146-year-old mark. Okay, cool. Okay, we'll go back to our one angry pagan here, who's finishing off the quote, I hope. As soon as you saw people... Oh, sorry. People on okay. It's a lot to read that, mate. But if you want to read all of the stuff that One Angry Pagan has written there, be my guest. Be my guest. Put our service to the test. Put your napkin on your knee, Cherie, and we'll provide the rest. Yo. Anyway, so I'm going to get off in a moment. Before I go, I'm just going to have a quick look at see if any developments have developed on the old BBC. Breaking. The victim in Belfast has lost his left eye. Caught her as a suspect has been named. So the suspect has been named as Hadi Alodid, has been remanded in custody for 4 weeks after being charged with attempted murder, threats to kill an NHS radiographer, and possession of a knife. Really, really fucking grim. Let's have a look. Model who alleges Kanye West chokes her tells BBC that she felt suffocated and scared. God, Kanye West is a fucking nasty piece of work. God, he is a gobshite. I love those feedback-led guitar solos, person. I love Anthrax, great song. Woke up this morning, Desperation AM. Wasn't that the Alabama 3 who sang Woke Up This Morning? Was that a cover version? Got illegal mini marts shut for up to 12 months under law prompted by the BBC. Law prompted by the BBC. And Iran launches broad retaliatory attacks after US strikes over a downed helicopter. This helicopter, was it an American helicopter? Whose helicopter was it? Someone flying a helicopter over the Strait of Hormuz. Just have a look. US attack on reservoirs. I'm just going to Control F. Jellybopter helicopter. It was a US helicopter. So no one was saying what nationality the helicopter was. It was just like, oh, there was a helicopter went down. Yeah, whose was it? That's kind of important. Blah blah CW. Read the link Diz sent. I can see Starmer's point. Okay, thank you very much for the super chat there, which didn't trigger the confetti for some reason. Why is this not triggering confetti? I don't understand. No, it didn't happen. It says it needs teal confetti, but £2 is teal, isn't it? Isn't that teal, isn't it? Maybe I didn't set it up correctly. Oh, well, never mind. I'm going to release it anyway because I said I would. So, blah, blah, CW, this is for you. Thank you, Diz! We got confetti, Diz! We did it! Woo! Blah, blah, CW, Diz posted a link for you to read. Okay. Graham, this is the article on Burnham on immigration. Okay, I will have a look at that. Oh, it's from Novara Media. I do agree with what Farage is saying. Novara Media are not a particularly reliable source of information when it comes to their slant on things. And to be fair, neither am I. You know, we've all got our own biases. But if they decide they hate a particular politician, they're not averse to taking things out of context or, you know, trying to spin things to their own advantage for the joy and exultation of their excitation, of their viewers, of their listeners, of their readers. And I don't think they like Burnham, but there is you're going to hate me saying this, and I don't want to fall out on nothing, but let's not forget where he needs to win next week. It's Makerfield. a constituency that voted 66% to Brexit. And yeah, so if you saw his performance on Question Time, which I thought was very good, he talked a lot about, well, you know, they got some valid points and we do need to do something about this. And he is making sure that he's going to get all the votes from the Labour lot. He's going to get a lot of votes from the left wing, from not the far left, obviously, but you know, a lot of left wing voters will come over. A lot of Lib Dems voters will come over to him. A lot of Green voters will come over to him. But he's also trying to make sure that he gets some refuck votes as well. He's got to target those votes because in a democracy, you've got to get people on side. You've got to get people on side, and this is why the Starmer government in the run up to the 2024 elections said that we're not going to talk about Brexit. It was like Bruno from Encanto. It was like we're not going to talk. We're not going to talk about Brexit. We're not going to talk about rejoining the EU. We're not going to be talking about rejoining the single market, the customs union, which is like, you know, upsetting to a lot of us who want us to rejoin as soon as possible. But I saw why they did it, and it paid dividends. They ended up with this massive 150 seat majority. Over 400 MPs got elected for Labour. It works. So, yeah, I can see why you're saying it. I haven't read the whole article, but Novara Media is, I don't know, it's been problematic in the past. There's been mean to some of my friends. So I tend to just go, oh, yeah. I'll take that with a pinch of salt. There is a lot of false equivalents out there going, oh, he's just as bad as Farage. No, Farage will murder you. He will murder your family. He will burn you. He will piss on your ashes. That's what Nigel Farage is. Nigel Farage is a fucking monster. And if I have to choose between Churchill and Hitler, I'm going to choose Churchill. I know he did some fucking awful things. I know what he did in Gallipoli. I know what he did in the General Strike. I know what he did in the Bengal famine. But compared with Hitler, he was the good guy. And one of the traps that we continuously fall into on the left, and this is why we always lose, is we go, I need someone to represent me who is effectively me. In the same way that we read a book and then someone makes a movie of the book and the movie doesn't quite gel with the image that we had in our head conjured up when we read the book, which is a very individualistic experience. And you're like, that filmmaker made a film and it wasn't quite what I had in my head. And at that point, you hate the movie. You say, oh, fuck this movie. It's a load of shit. It's nothing like the book. No, it's nothing like your interpretation of the book. It's somebody else's interpretation. And this is why the left continuously lose, because we end up just fighting amongst ourselves because we scream at each other, why aren't you perfect? And I guarantee you would sit down in a room with Andy Burnham and you would agree with 99% of the stuff that he comes out with. 99%. You'd probably agree with a lot of stuff Starmer comes out with if you were trapped in a room with him for a few hours. I mean, that would be awful because he's very, very boring. But you'd agree on nearly everything. But there's that one thing, and he can fuck off and die forever because he won't agree with us on that one thing. So yeah, this is a trap. It's a trap. And I do believe there are certain, I'm not saying Novara Media is necessarily funded by the right wing, but there are certain groups on the left that I think are certainly funded by the right wing in order to sow discord and disharmony on the left. We saw it during the anti-Brexit campaigning, where groups were too busy fighting with each other to fight Brexit. The moment that people were saying, we don't want the Conservatives against Brexit here, it was like, no, fuck off. This has got to be across the board. We need to get people who are Conservatives on side for this. And if that means compromising and saying, well, we won't go so extreme and blah, 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 then that's it. Politics is the art of the possible. Politics is compromise. And if we go down the route of going, oh, we can't compromise on anything, we can't understand why someone who needs to win it in a re-fucky constituency says things like, yeah, you know, Nigel Farage, well, if I get into power, I'm not going to hang him, you know, from a lamppost. I'm definitely not going to do that. I can see why he says that. And I might be tempted to do the same thing if I was running, which is one of the reasons why I'll never be an MP. I don't want to. But if someone else wants to do that shit, then I'm going to let them. For many, perhaps, for me, literally the only thing I require from my would-be political figure is that they accept who I am and don't throw me under the bloody bus the first chance they get. Yes, yeah, Gallifreyan man, I completely understand that. I completely understand that. And this is why it upsets me so much that Labour had loads of meetings with anti-trans groups. They met with like Sex Matters and shit. You know, this dickhead, shut up Wesley fucking Streeting. He's having meetings with the LGB Alliance, you know, anti-trans groups. And he doesn't have any meetings with any trans people. When that court ruling came through in the Supreme Court, the only people they listened to were anti-trans groups. They didn't have a single trans person give evidence or talk to them and say, this is the lived experience of a trans person. And that's where we have a serious breakdown of communication. We have to do something about it. But yeah, politics is a dirty business, my friends. It's a dirty business. If you want to get what you want, you got to keep fighting every fucking day. Every fucking day. And I know it's exhausting. And I don't want my, trans friends, my black friends, my Asian friends to have to be the ones on the front line. I think that there needs to be more allies, especially cisgender allies, middle-aged, middle-class allies like myself, who actually are willing to put the hard work, the hard yakka in to getting these fucking dickhead bloody MPs to understand the damage that they are doing by just going along with it. There are some MPs who have woken up to the absolute tyranny that is the anti-trans movement. There are. There's not enough. There's not enough. We need to wake more of them up. We need to make more of them up. Grim Dango says, the right are getting more bold is alarming. It needs to be dealt with seriously or else we'll go down the same path. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. I couldn't agree more. It's an Apache, so American. Don't fly over enemy territory if you don't want to get shot down, says Martin Harrow. Yeah. I'm sorry, but what happened to that pilot? The pilot who was shot down over Easter. There's the Easter miracle. They got the pilot back. What was the name? Why did we hear nothing more about that? That was a bit weird, wasn't it? Anyway, so yeah, I'm not here to give a full-throated defense of Labour. I think what they've done in power, they have squandered opportunities. They made so many mistakes, so many fucking stupid own goals that they didn't need to score. They pissed off everyone who's trans or has friends who are trans or who's a trans ally. They've pissed off everyone who wants to rejoin Europe. They've just gone around pissing everybody off. They've pissed off everyone who's pro-Gaza. I mean, this is a government that has done more for the people of Palestine than any government that has come before it. It actually recognised the state of Palestine as a state last year in September. It doesn't get any credit for it because of all the other shit it's done. It's stopped selling weapons to Israel, but not enough, not all of them, because there's certain just contracts they just can't get out of without our government being sued to oblivion, and therefore us as the taxpayer having to shell out for compensation to these companies who would just get those weapons made somewhere else. And you may think, well, fair enough, at least someone else is making the weapons for them, but they'll take the money that they take off us taxpayers and they'll get a company in another country to make those weapons that they want to go and kill Gazans with, whatever they want to do with them. So yeah, Labour don't get any credit. They don't get any credit for the good job they've done getting down the waiting lists, because at the same time they've pissed off the resident doctors. They don't get any credit for anything they've done as far as the LGBT community is concerned because of the shit that they've pulled on the trans community. All it would take, and this needs to be explained, if you're going to write to your MP, please do it in the next 2 weeks, explain to them that all it's going to take is to get a statutory instrument. You do not need a vote in Parliament to put a statutory instrument together to amend a law that is already there, that's already on the books. Amend the equality law from the Equality Act of 2010. Amend it. All you need to do is just add one line that makes it very clear that a woman in the context of this act refers to a cisgender woman or a trans woman with a gender recognition certificate. And then you make it easier to get a GRC, which is what the fucking Tories wanted to do. So yeah, Labour get no credit for anything, and they don't deserve to get credit because they've fucked up too many times, as far as I'm concerned. Burnham offers a hope of a little bit of change. Whether it comes or not, I'm not holding my breath. I'm not saying he's the fucking Messiah. I do not think he is. I do not worship or praise or follow around slavishly any politician, or in fact, anyone on this fucking planet, because it's just not worth putting anyone on a pedestal, because people are people and they'll always let you down. Always. 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 Because you know what? They're not you. They're individuals living their own lives, their own main character in their lives. You are a side character, a side quest in their life. And people need to, I don't know, take a bit of a step back and realize that everyone's different. Everyone is fighting their own battles, fighting their own demons, and give support and love and respect to people until the point where they actually prove that they individually do not deserve that. And then once they do an act that is horrible, fine, right? Throw the book at them, call them a cunt, put them in jail, do what you need to do, right? But don't think for a moment that that one person represents an entire community in our society. Because like me little not all boomers button, they don't. They literally do not. They represent themselves in that heinous act. They were not compelled to do it by their religion. They were not compelled to do it by the colour of their skin. They wanted to do it because they're evil motherfuckers. And there are some minority, 1 in 100. Still, obviously, there's 8 billion people on the planet. That's quite a lot. Of people are gobshites. 99% of people are just nice. Just getting on with their lives. A bit part in your life, Lemonheads. Lemonheads, great band. Love them. The EHRC Code of Practices and Statutory Instruments, says Jenny. Yeah. And this is it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's an amendment to an actual existing law. They've got all this ridiculous document, right? This guidance goes on for pages and pages and pages, and just has no real world. The real world implications of it are absolutely horrific. And yet, here we are. Okay, so I'm going to get going now. You can, if you want to keep watching this, I will, for Elle and Regan, I'll send you over to Regan Elite's channel, so you can watch Regan for a bit. Say hello from me, please. Say Graham says hello. And I'll be back in just over just under 50 minutes for the PMQs. I'm going to go and get some food, some breakfast. Okay. We just had a knock on the door. Save that. Okay, right. So keep watching, and you'll be magically transported over to Regan Elite. Before you go, if you like this, even if you didn't, give us a thumb up or a thumb down. Well, it's up to you. Give us a subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and hit that bell notification icon, because we're doing loads of live stuff, and you never know when it's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen. 12 o'clock today, we've got PMQs. And then pretty much straight after that, probably at 2 o'clock, I might have a little bit of a break, have some lunch. I'll be jumping into Graham Hughes' Rights and Wrongs, which is a very specialist bit of this channel that's just for a handful of people to just write along, or just put me on so they can listen to me tapping on my keyboard. A bit of ASMR for the day. Please don't watch it going, this is boring. Rah, rah, rah. Why is he not doing something more exciting? It's because I'm literally writing a book. I'm writing a sequel to Man of the World. I'm writing Top of the World. If you want to buy a copy of Man of the World, you can buy a copy further down on this on here, on this whatever it's called, this channel, this description, the description of the video. There's a link to buy it off Amazon. Or I'm thinking if enough people are interested, I might buy a box of books and sign them and send them out to you if you prefer to do it that way instead. Because I don't make any money at all off the Amazon books. Whereas if I send them to you myself, at least I make £2. A book. Morning, guys. We stand divided. We all fall free. Palestine, free Lebanon, free Sudan, free Cuba, free Ukraine, free the world from Zionism. I was with you up until the free the world from Zionism. We tend not to use the Z word on this channel. The reason being, it means different things to different people. I'd say so free the world from tyranny, free the world from bigotry, free the world from gobshites with lots of money, and free the world from psychopaths in power. I would say that covers everything, I think. But yes, thanks everyone, and take care of yourselves and each other, says Diz. Oh, it's really sweet. And Dragons Marine says, we are everywhere. Yeah, indeed, we are. We are. So thanks very much to everyone. Thanks everyone who dropped in a super chat. We've got out today. That's really cool. And until I see you again. I meant to mention. I might do a special episode of The Rabbit Hole tonight with Mike. Haven't spoken to Mike about it, but if we do that, that'll be 6 o'clock tonight. So watch out for that. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow bright and early, 9 o'clock for the next morning brew. And until then, I'll say thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.